Self-made just means being able to do what you want on your time. You make the rules and you can live your life like that.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
good. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for
Super
having me.
excited to talk to you, Chris.
Nah, me too.
I
Me
think
too.
I think what you do is so cool.
Nah, appreciate it. Appreciate
Um,
it. Same for me.
so wait, first, where are you?
I'm in New York. I'm at
Where in
my
New York?
farm. Midtown Manhattan, Midtown East.
Midtown. All right. So for everybody, since no one knows who the hell I am except some old guy on Instagram, I'm Brett Barish. I own a bunch of alcohol brands. I used to own Ace of Spades. I still own a piece of still own in Doucet. I have Bel Air, Chris. I don't know if you know Bamboo McQueen. And I started this series a couple years ago called Self Made. I've interviewed a whole bunch of people you know, Dave East, who I love, who's a good friend of you.
Yep, for sure.
I love Dave. To Post Malone, to Rick Ross, to athletes. I just did. What did I do? Quinnen Williams of the Jets a couple days ago. Warren Sapp, Muggsy Bogues, who you'll appreciate. Muggsy was awesome.
Yeah, he was. He's a legend.
He's just. He was shot when he was like 3 or 5 years old.
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't even know that.
Wow.
But I get to do this series, which is so motivating for me because I grew up I loved hearing. I realized I loved hearing. I didn't like hearing the success side, but I liked hearing the troubling side, meaning the difficult side.
Yeah,
and we started
that's the
this
best
thing
part
called.
sometimes.
It is the best part. It's called Self-Made, and I ask everybody the same question, and I'll ask you, what does self-made mean to you?
To me, it's a good question. I would say self-made just means being able to do what you want on a regular basis, on your time. You kind of make the rules, and you can live your life like that. You can live your life being a leader, and kind of what you do. You're the definition of self-made. Starting all these companies and being successful. That's kind of what I think self-made is.
Did you imagine? Because I have so many questions, but did you imagine what you're doing today is what if you were a little kid wondering what the hell you'd be doing today?
Nah, no, not at all. When I was a little kid, I wanted to play in the NBA, and then I wanted to get into coaching. I never thought I would be like a trainer. I never thought I would be that full time. I didn't know how I would pay my bills doing that. But no, I love what I do. But no, I didn't think that I would be.
So take the NBA first. So I get you must have loved basketball. You love playing. Was your family supportive of basketball for you?
Big time, big time. Me and my dad. I played basketball every day growing up. Before school, after school, that was like my love. So I've always been obsessed with the game. It's been like my first love. Always will be. And so I'm blessed.
Who were some of the players? Who were some of the players you looked up to?
When I was young, probably like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Sean Kemp, deadlift strength. I was huge into basketball. Penny Hardaway, Shaq.
Oh my God! But what position did you play?
I played point guard. So I looked up to.
Hold on, everybody you just said are centers or forwards.
Yeah, so I guess I looked up to Jason Williams. I looked up to Pistol Pete. I looked up to those guys, and that was kind of who I tried to model my life after. I wanted to be Jason Williams. I wanted to be Pistol Pete. And,
What was the frustrating part of you wanting to achieve that goal?
The frustrating part, well, growing up in New Hampshire, it's not much. There's not many NBA players from New Hampshire. There's not many Division I players get to go to play college from New Hampshire. So being from New Hampshire, I wasn't super athletic. I'm like 6'3", 6'4". I'm not like some freak nature, like 7-footer walking around. So I had to work really hard to earn the respect. And, I did that. And I got a scholarship to play college. And I took basketball as far as I could and as a player. And then I got into coaching. and I'm still trying to, push the limits of how far I can take the game.
So when did basketball turn into coaching for you? That concept of being that.
So when I started playing, my last few years, have you ever heard of Rick Pitino? Have you ever heard of that name?
Of course.
So I played for Rick Pitino, Hall of Fame coach, and so my last few years, I knew I wasn't going to make the NBA, so I was just trying to learn from him, and that's kind of really when it began. I brought my notebook to practice, brought my notebook to workouts, and I would write down the workouts. And then first year out of college, he got me a graduate assistant position at Ole Miss, and I was there for a year, and then I was the youngest Division I coach at Fairleigh Dickinson in New Jersey. And then I got a job with the Knicks, and that kind of changed my life.
So I'm always curious, and I asked Sap this question, I asked Quinn Williams this question. Being an elite athlete and playing a sport that you love, why choose a school that you most likely won't play? You know what I mean? It's so competitive.
Facts. That's true. It's a good question. So my first school, I went to Northeastern, and it's a lower Division I school in Boston, by where I grew up in New Hampshire. And so I did that, and then I was like, you know what? I just want to play at the highest possible level I can play at. I worked my whole life to play basketball. I'm going to just try to go to the highest level possible. And it wasn't even about I'll be a starter. I just wanted to experience basketball at its highest at that level. And I did that, and it was a good choice because, I got to know Coach Pitino, and I kind of took off running from there. It was a good platform for me.
Tell me, who else was playing then that went to the NBA on Louisville, on the Cardinals?
On that team, I think no big superstars, but like Terrence Williams played in the NBA for a little bit. Earl Clark played in the NBA for a little bit. That was it, really. Russ Smith played in the NBA for a little bit, but there was no superstars on the team.
And Sap had a great answer. What's the difference between, that NBA player and that guy on the cusp? Do you know what I mean?
That's a great question. So that's what that's my job. I work out these players, and you always see that's that NBA guy. He takes it serious. I call it like the 3 hour. It's like the 3 hour thing. Like, so when a player comes in and wants to get his workout in for an hour, wants to lift for an hour, and then he does recovery for an hour, those are usually like the NBA players, the ones that take their craft serious. And then there's guys that they don't take it as serious. They might come in here for an hour and just play and then get out of here. So I think it's the difference between an NBA player and a player that's not in the NBA is just how serious they take their craft. Is it their life? When they wake up, is their day surrounded by their workout, or do they just throw the workout in there sometime? So I think just NBA players have a different, they carry themselves different. They really work hard, just like, self-made. They have that perspective. They have that self-made perspective where it's either I'm going to do this or I don't know what else I'm going to do with my life. And they have that.
Can you say the same thing about an NBA player who's playing all the time versus one who's on the NBA and not? Meaning there's a different level, do you know what I mean, to the commitment?
Yeah, for sure. And then, so you're saying once you're in the NBA, there's levels, for sure.
Correct.
For sure. And that's the $100 million player versus the guy that maybe makes 10 million over his career. It's just a different mindset. It's the way they handle business, which is how they work out, how they eat. Do they sleep enough? Are they coachable? And that plays a lot with it. Players don't understand that.
Do you think, because I find it so interesting, because I think the parallels between whether it's any NBA sport to music to, it could be an actor and actress, it's the same mindset. It's how much work you put in, how much effort you put in. Do you think it's possible to change somebody? Meaning either
rewire them?
Correct. Either they have it or they don't.
That's a great question. It's $1 million question right there. I would like to think that I can change. Me personally, I'm a trainer, so my goal is to help these players achieve their dreams. Sometimes you get a player that his work ethic might be a little off, and you just really work on that. You work on how he thinks, and you work on his habits, really. And I think you can change someone's habits. I think anyone's habits can be changed over consistency, but they need to want it too. You can't just want it. It needs to be a two-way street. And, they need to, somewhere in their brain, want to be able to change and want to be able to achieve what it is they want to achieve. And then I can help from there. So, yeah, I think you can rewire people for sure.
Do you think those people that can be rewired are the ones that kind of hit bottom, if you know what I mean? They gotta, I gotta do something different. This isn't working.
Do I think to rewire someone that they need to hit bottom? I think, sometimes I feel like people, they get really motivated once they hit adversity. And there's a lot of people that hit adversity and they don't bounce back. And there's a lot of people that hit adversity and they bounce back and they, like you said, they rewire themselves and they become better than ever. And that's kind of, I believe that.
Have you ever thought about, I'm curious, let's call it a player that's not playing today, who you wish you could have gotten in their head?
That's deep. For sure. I'll be watching old games from the 80s and 90s and maybe not like get in their head, but just like, I would love to work with him. I would have loved to work with Pistol Pete. I would have loved to work with Jason Williams, stuff like that. I would have loved to work with Michael Jordan. That would have been awesome. So, yeah, that's definitely players like that.
But I'm guessing, like, part of you, because it's the idea of making someone better, I would think it's like you see somebody who has so much potential and they're not achieving it. Like,
it happens all the time. There's guys that, I'll give you an example. You're top 5 in the country coming out of high school and you have all the hype in the world. And then you go to college and you kind of feed into the hype, don't have a great year. And then now you're in the NBA draft and you think, okay, well, my whole life I've been top 10 in the country. This 1 year is not going to do anything. And you kind of have to sit the player down. I do it all the time. And I'm like, listen, you need to reinvent yourself. Like what you did 10 years ago doesn't mean anything now. You need to reinvent yourself in the pre-draft. You need to reinvent yourself when you get to the NBA. So I think that's kind of where my part comes in. I kind of give these guys a reality check, a friendly reality check, and they know I only want their best interest.
Playing off that, and again, because I deal with lots of artists who are celebrities and lots of managers who have to manage these people. That's the hard, you're a manager and the same thing. It's the hardest thing in the world to convince somebody to do something when they're not. How do you you don't want to be a sycophant just telling them you can't. Otherwise, you don't get anything out of it. Your whole goal is to get more. How do you do it?
I think you figure out, well, what I do personally, I can speak for myself. I figure out, why are you playing basketball? Why do you want to achieve this dream? Why do you want to be an NBA player? Why do you want the $100 million deal? Why do you want a sneaker deal? Why do you want to become a superstar? And then you figure out why. Everyone has a different why. Some people are motivated because they want to make their girlfriend proud. Some just want to make their family proud. Some want the money. Some want the fame. There's all different ways. And once you figure out why they want it, then you can really dig deep and figure out how to get to them and how to make them learn and how to motivate them. But if you don't know why they want to get to where they want to get to, you're not going to have an easy job. It's going to be almost impossible.
Chris, how did you figure that out? Like, how did you figure out that was kind of the ethos for getting it, just starting the conversation, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think just observing people. I've always been someone that, when someone's talking, I try and read them. I try and understand who they are as a person. I've always been like that. And I think Coach Pitino taught me, the basketball side of stuff. But since a little kid, I've always read people and thought I was a good people person. I understood why people wanted stuff, why people asked for stuff, what makes people tick. And I've kind of used that life skill with my career, and it's worked out.
So I saw it still shows up on the Fairleigh Dickinson site. It says at the end of it about you, it says motivational speaker.
Yeah, I think back then I was doing some, but yeah, I think before quarantine and all this happened in COVID, I was going to start talking to some Ivy League schools, but I'm not really a motivational speaker yet. I would like to be one day.
But I'm more curious. It's like, is you saw something where I can it's being a coach is I can share wisdom to motivate someone to do something else. It's not just
For sure.
coaching. Motivational speaking is coaching.
For sure, it is. I guess it goes hand in hand. So yeah, I do that every single day. I just got out the gym 10 minutes ago, right before we got on, with a player that's about to be an NBA player, and I'm kind of trying to rewire his brain as we speak to becoming something greater. So
Is
yeah,
is for you, because I think there's certain things in life that kind of carry forward, and there is that herd mentality. If you can make someone better, other people will hear and they'll want to be involved. Is that what
for
happened
sure.
with you?
100%. I think, and that kind of goes with good energy is contagious and positive vibes, and I think people saw that I don't want anything from these players. I really don't. I just want to make them better. I want you to achieve your dream, whether it's play college, whether it's make the NBA, or whether it's sign that first $100 million deal. I'm here to help you do that, and no matter what circumstance you come from, or no matter what the story is, we're gonna figure it out. I can promise you that. That's what I do.
Was Carmelo the first for you? The big name.
He was the first superstar for sure, and I'm thankful to this day. Me and Melo we have a really good relationship. We talk all the time. But yeah, if it wasn't for him, I'm not sure if everything would have trickled down after.
Who was the easiest to date? The easiest he'd do everything and anything I ask.
As I've gotten more successful, I guess people have been players. They listen to what I say, and once you build a resume that people respect, they tend to listen, and that's a blessing. But at the same time, I need to understand that and make sure everything that comes out of my mouth is it's going to help them. So I guess that's the blessing and the curse of being successful, is people are going to listen to what you have to say. So now I just kind of need to do my homework extra, which I definitely do.
And I find it, again, I can appreciate it from my perspective of, we do a lot with the music industry. I don't want anything from the artist. I want to help the artist.
For
And
sure.
to me, you said somewhat of the same thing of, you know what, I don't want anything. I just want to help you be better at what you do, and I win from that.
100%. You couldn't have said it better.
I love this line. He's the king of the off season.
Yeah. Ennis Canner said that, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
But I think that's like it's perfect. It encapsulates everything about you, because that's the goal there. There are those who are going to walk away, and there's those who are going to say, you know what, it starts today.
Yep, for sure. And that's a blessing when players want to speak about me in the media. It's a cool thing. I really don't need it. I don't thrive off that. At the end of the day, I'm still gonna, in the off season, get the players and try to help the players get better. And that's really what it's all about. That's what it's always been about. It's a blessing.
Have you turned down people?
For sure. Yeah. As I've gotten, yeah. So I can't take on everyone that comes to me. I don't want to take someone that I think's in it for the wrong reason. So what we're talking about is what you're motivated by. I try and stay away from the players that aren't motivated by the game. There's some players that are motivated by social media, or motivated by, they want people to think a certain way, but they really might not love the game. I try and stay away from players like that. I want a player that genuinely loves the game and wants to improve on his craft. I try and stay away from the other stuff.
Can you tell if they're bullshitting you?
Yeah, you can. The first few conversations, you just ask what do you want out of this? And if they start saying, I want you to post all my workouts on Instagram, I'm like, I'm going to stay away from that. So you can figure it out in the first few conversations.
Does it matter? So if it's a guy on the bench or the guy who's trying to get to the NBA, is that almost more motivated? I shouldn't say. In some ways, you want the big name star, but in other ways, you want the guy who you can turn into the big name star. You know what I mean? Like, which one's better?
It both really. I love having the player that's amazing, the MVP type player, because there's always something to work on. I don't care who you are. But then I also love that player that you just see his potential, and you see, like, listen, if I can get you to work hard for 2 months, next year you'll be most improved player. And that's happened before. I've had players where I've seen that, and they became most improved player. So it's amazing just to be part of that and witness it.
Which do you think has the most effect? Is it
most fulfilling?
No, affect, meaning, is it mental that has to change, or is it the physical that has to change?
That's a good question. So sometimes it is the physical. The player needs to tweak his jump shot or lower his release or follow through different. But then there's some players, they have all the skills in the world. They just might get too mad when they miss it, or they might get too happy when things are going good and you need to fix their mental. So every player is their own case, but I would say there's a little bit of both. I personally, I don't want to just work with the player that needs to work on his jump shot or just work with the player that doesn't have the best attitude. I like them all.
Is there is there conflict between you and the teams? Meaning,
No, we kind of get on the same page. So, for example, like in Ennis Canner last offseason, the Boston Celtics would come in and they would kind of give me some of their defensive principles and say, work on this in the workout. And that sometimes as certain players with other teams where the coach might be like, I want the player to get better at this. So I'm mindful of that during the workout, and we try and get better at that.
do you ever go to old school players and ask them about what worked for them, or get their energy to kind of learn? Just like my conversation with Muggsy was just like, like I picked up, like, from a business perspective, the thing he said to me was, the reason I was successful is I leaned into what I was good at. I didn't pretend to be something else. I just focused on what I'm good at. So that's a principle I can now take forward into something else.
For sure. I go to the greats all the time. Allen Houston's been big with me. We've formed a really good relationship. And Tracy McGrady. And there's been a bunch of guys that played in the past. And I'll sit down with them, ask them questions, kind of say, when you back in the day when you played, how hard would you go in the off season? Would you go 6 days? Would you go 3 days? Or, during the season, what worked for you? How much film did you watch? And I definitely take that. You always got to figure out what the greats did. Yeah, that's. I think that's
what was your takeaway from Last Dance?
The Last Dance was amazing. My takeaway was Michael Jordan was an amazing leader. That was my takeaway.
Did you see anything that you didn't like, the way he did it?
No, I respected it. I think everyone does it their own way to a point, but I respected how Phil Jackson coached that team. I respected how Michael Jordan carried himself, and he figured out what motivated Dennis, and that's why him and Phil let Dennis go to Vegas for a few days during the season, and come back, and so they kind of figured out, what makes these guys tick, and we're going to get the best out of you. I think Michael Jordan got the best out of that team.
So my favorite line was actually from Phil Jackson when he said, and I take it from even business, you got to, if you got to make change, pivot and pivot quickly, meaning adapt and move on quickly. Like that's something I took away that I thought was just, that's business. Like today, you got to move quickly.
For sure, and you have to evolve too. And I think that documentary showed how they evolved, how Phil evolved, and he got past his habits, and he made it work for that team.
Do you think you could ever coach
yeah,
in the sense of the traditional sense?
For sure, I think so. I definitely think so. Right now, I love what I do, so I wouldn't leave being a trainer. But I think down the line, I would definitely get into coaching.
Do you think you could ever just train for one team?
Yeah, so I did that with the Knicks for like 5 seasons. It was amazing being in New York, going to Madison Square Garden, being part of that. It was really cool. And right now, I left 3 years ago, so I'm still kind of new doing my own thing. But maybe down the line, I'll definitely do something like that. I just got offered, I get offered positions all the time in the NBA, but I'm not ready yet.
Can you appreciate, because again, learning about you've created your own self-made thing that didn't exist before. Like,
for sure,
you are an entity. You people. It's not just the basketball, players. It's the Justin Bieber. It's a Quavo. It's people are looking to you. You created something. Was that the intent, or it's evolved to this?
When you're going through the grind, kind of what you said you love the grind. You love when people hit adversity. When you're going through that, you're not thinking like, this is what I'm trying to do. You're just grinding every single day. You wake up, you're like, I'm going to get as many players as I can better. And I like music. So at night I go to the studio and I would just keep grinding. Next thing I knew, people were, taking a liking to it. And next thing I knew, I'm signing deals no one's ever signed for a trainer. And then I'm building a whole lane for trainers across the world. I want to be like Chris Brickley. And I didn't know I was building that. I just had my head down, had my blinders on, and I was working. And then eventually, after years and years of it, I built opportunity for other trainers. It's amazing. It's a dream come true when I look back at it. I would be lying to you if I was like, yeah, that was my plan the whole time. It wasn't my plan the whole time, but looking back, it's dope that it became my reality.
Correct, but and again, from what I do for a living, the thing I get the most kick out of is just doing things that just feels right and going for it. And I know you did. I read about colorblind.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
To me, that's the same thing. That idea that, you know what, I have an idea. I'm going to go do this, and let's see.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's just see if it works.
Exactly. So I was in New York when I was working with the Knicks. Donald Trump just got elected, and there was all types of, still going on today, all types of police shootings. And I was like, man, what if the world was all one color, right? What if we were all colorblind? I put that in a hoodie, and a few years later, it's a whole brand. We built a brand, me and my manager, and it's dope. Colorblind is a really cool brand for sure.
Do you get more kick out of it today? The idea that, for example, whether it's Instagram or someone DMing you who wants to be a trainer, like
you for that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It happens every day. People want to be trainers now. People want to sign a sneaker deal, or people want to have their own gym, or people want to be an NBA 2K. So it's amazing that I could have, built a platform for kids to, I'm not good enough to play in the NBA. I love basketball. Maybe I can be a trainer. I think that's dope.
When did you realize that, you know what, even if it's not the NBA, I want to stick to the basketball world, the realm? That's what's making me happy.
I think from day one, I always knew I wanted to get into basketball. I wanted to be a player, and then that just transferred over. I want to be a coach. That transferred over. I want to be a trainer. So basketball has never been number two in my life. It's always been number one. It's always been at the forefront.
Was there anybody out there who said, you know what, move on, Chris? Come on, man. You got to stick to the real world, do accounting, do something else. I've had an amazing family, amazing father. So no, they've always told me just chase your dreams, and I've done that. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Chris. So before we go, I want to have just a little fun. So I do 10 quick words. I'm going to ask you a couple of words. Just give me one word answers, word association. All right.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. First one, New Hampshire.
Boring.
Northeastern.
The beginning.
The Knicks.
Amazing.
Louisville.
Survival.
Colorblind.
Equality.
Black Ops.
An empire.
Donovan Mitchell.
Superstar.
Dave East.
A legend.
Carmelo.
Best scorer of all time.
Michael or LeBron?
LeBron.
Favorite team of all time?
Like the 90 Celtics.
All right. Puma.
Dope.
All right, I love it. I think it's amazing what you've created for yourself. Really, I think it just shows love of what you do can create any opportunity for you if you chase it. You can build your own empire, and that's what you're doing. It's awesome. It's awesome. Anything I can ever do, please ask. We'll keep following you. We'll keep supporting you any way we possibly can. I really appreciate the conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Later.